So the last thing I want to do is take a look at greatest common factor from the perspective of the list. We found greatest common factors using the prime factorization. Now we also found all the factors using the prime factorization. We found all the factors just by making the list of factors, and now we want to try to make the list of factors and use that to find the greatest common factor. So we'll take the example first of 40 and 56. And when we did that before, we found these two lists of factors. And what I want to do now is to see which factors these two lists have in common. So we're looking for factors that appear in both lists. Well, 1 appears in both lists. 1 will be always in every list. But here I also have 2 is in both lists. 4 is in both lists. Well, I have a 5 up top, which I don't have on the bottom. I have a 7 on the bottom, which I don't have on top, but I do have an 8 in both lists. And I have a 10 and a 14, 20, 28, 40, 56. So the numbers that appear in both lists are 1, 2, 4, and 8. And then the greatest common factor is just literally that. You look at the common factors, which are 1, 2, 4, and 8. The greatest of those is 8. And voila, that's your greatest common factor. We found that same value using the prime factorizations. So we'll do one more example of that using 60 and 100. So go ahead and list all the factors of 60 and 100 just by trying numbers and dividing them into it. And then pause the video and do that, and then come back and we'll have the lists. Alright, so for 60 we found all of those factors, and for 100 we found all of these factors. Now we want to go ahead and make a list of which factors these two have in common. So they both have a 1, as always. In this case they both have a 2. I see a 4 in both lists. I see a 5 in both lists. Now I see a 10 in both lists. Anything else? Yeah, we got a 20 down here and a 20 up here. And I think that will do it. 1, 2, 4, 5, and 10, and 20, and that'll do it. So the greatest common factor will be the largest of the factors that are in common, which is clearly 20. So here we're going to do one more example. I'll have you start it. So I want you to find the lists of all the factors of 120 and all the factors of 165, just by going up through the first bunch of numbers and dividing into them. When I do this, I find for 120 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all those go in 8, 10, 12, 15, 20, 24, 30, 40, 60, and 120. For 165, 1 goes into 165 times, 3 goes into that 55 times, 5 goes into that 33 times, and 11 goes into it 15 times. So then I just want to make the list of all the factors they have in common. So I see we certainly have 1 in common. They have 3 in common, 5, 11, no, I do have a 15 in both. Do I have a 33 up top? No. Do I have 55? No. 165? Certainly not. And so my GCF for 120 and 165 is going to be 15, because that's the largest factor that these two numbers have in common.